I am 87 years old, and I am going to say something that most people my age are too proud to admit. I wasted my life. Not all of it, but enough. Enough that it keeps me up at night. Enough that I look back and I see all the places where I chose wrong, stayed too long, and believed things that were never true. And I am telling you this today because nobody told me. And if somebody had, maybe things would have been different. So sit down, listen close, because what I am about to share with you might be the most important thing you hear this year.
My name is Margaret Ellis. I was born in a small town in rural Tennessee in 1937. I raised 3 children, buried a husband, and worked most of my adult life trying to be everything to everybody. I was not famous, I was not rich, but I lived. Lord, did I live. And living long enough, you start to see things clearly, things you were too busy or too stubborn to see when you were younger. The mistakes I made, they did not show up overnight. They crept in slowly, quietly, like water getting into the walls of a house. You do not notice the damage until one day the whole thing starts to crumble. I noticed too late, but you still have time. That is why I'm here. The first thing I wasted my life on was the wrong people. Now, I do not say that with bitterness. I say it with honesty. For most of my adult life, I kept people around me who took and never once gave back. Friends who only called when they needed something, family members who made every gathering feel like a battlefield, a neighbor I spent 15 years trying to please, and she never once said thank you, not once. I told myself that loyalty meant you stayed, that love meant you endured, that being a good person meant you kept showing up no matter how much it cost you. That was a lie I told myself for decades. Here is what I know now. The people in your life are either adding to you or subtracting from you. There is no neutral. Nobody just sits there doing nothing. They are either lifting you up or quietly pulling you down. And the dangerous ones, the truly dangerous ones, they do it so gently you do not even feel it happening. You just wake up one day exhausted, empty, and wondering why. I had a friend. Her name was Carol. We grew up together, known each other since we were 9 years old, and for 40 years, every single conversation with Carol left me feeling worse about myself. She criticized everything, my clothes, my choices, my husband, my children, but she did it with a smile. She did it wrapped up in something that looked like concern. It took me until I was in my 60s to realize that Carol was not my friend. Carol was comfortable, and comfortable is not the same as good for you. When I finally let that friendship go, I felt grief, real grief, like losing someone. But underneath that grief was something else, relief, a kind of quiet I had not felt in years. Do not spend 40 years figuring out what I took 40 years to figure out. Look at the people around you. How do you feel after you spend time with them? Lighter or heavier? Energized or drained? That feeling is not nothing. That feeling is telling you the truth. Listen to it. The second thing I wasted my life on was money. Or rather, the idea of money. My husband, Gerald, God rest his soul, he worked 6 days a week for 30 years. 6 days a week. He missed school plays, he missed birthdays, he missed the quiet Tuesday evenings that I now understand were the most valuable moments of our entire marriage. He was always going to slow down next year. Next year turned into next year turned into a heart attack at 64. Now, I am not telling you that money does not matter. It does. I know what it feels like to worry about the electric bill. I know what it feels like to stretch $1 until it screams. Money matters. But there is a point, and most people cross it without even noticing, where you are no longer working for your life. Your life is working for your work. Gerald and I talked about traveling. We talked about going to see the Grand Canyon. We talked about renting a little cabin somewhere up in the mountains for a whole month and just breathing, just being together with nowhere to be. We never went. There was always a reason, always something more pressing, always next year. He died in the spring. The Grand Canyon is still there. I went alone 2 years after his funeral, stood at the edge of it and cried for an hour. Not because it was beautiful, though it was, but because he never got to see it. Your job will replace you, I promise you that. The moment you are gone, they will post your position online before your chair gets cold. But your children will not replace you. Your spouse will not replace you. Your own life will not replace you. Work hard, provide, be responsible, but do not trade the irreplaceable for the replaceable. That is a deal you will regret. The third thing, and this one runs deep, I spent the better part of my life worrying about what people thought of me, what the neighbors thought, what the women at church thought, what my mother-in-law thought, what strangers in a parking lot thought when I drove an old car. I made decisions based on how they would look to other people rather than how they felt to me. I stayed in situations too long because I was afraid of being judged for leaving. I kept quiet when I should have spoken because I was afraid of being seen as difficult. You know what all that worrying got me? Nothing. Not one single thing. Here is the hard truth about other people's opinions. They are thinking about you far less than you think they are. Far less. Most people are so wrapped up in their own fears, their own insecurities, their own need for approval, that they barely have room to truly judge you. And the ones who do spend time judging you, well, what does that tell you about how they are spending their one precious life? I had a daughter, my youngest, Clara. She wanted to be a painter, a real artist, not as a hobby, as a life. And I, in my fear, in my worry about what people would think of our family, I talked her out of it, told her to be practical, told her to get a real job. She did. She became an accountant. She is good at it. She is miserable at it. And she still paints on weekends, alone in her garage. And every time I see her come out of that garage, I see the life she was supposed to live and did not because her mother was too afraid of what people would say. That is one I carry with me every single day. Stop living inside other people's heads. You were not put on this earth to perform for an audience. You were put here to live, actually live. And the clock is moving whether you are living your life or somebody else's idea of it. Number 4, I waited. Lord, how I waited. Waited until the kids were older. Waited until we had more money. Waited until things calmed down. Waited until the time was right. You know what the time being right looks like? It looks exactly like right now. It always has. There was a woman in my neighborhood, Ruth, sweet woman, retired school teacher. Ruth had a list, an actual written list of everything she was going to do when the time was right. Travel to Italy, learn to play the piano, write a book about her father who served in World War II. She carried that list in her purse for 20 years. I know because she showed it to me once, pulled it out like it was something precious. Ruth died of a stroke at 79. The list was still in her purse. Italy, piano, the book about her father, all of it still waiting for the right time. That list haunts me more than almost anything else I have seen in my long life, because I had my own version of that list. Everybody does, and most of us are carrying it around, waiting, while life moves on without asking our permission. The moment you are in right now is the only moment you are guaranteed. I know that sounds like something you have seen on a coffee mug, but I'm 87 years old, and I'm telling you that I have watched people I love dearly run out of moments, and not one of them saw it coming. Not one of them thought that Tuesday was going to be their last Tuesday. Whatever you have been putting off, whatever you have been saving for the right time, stop waiting. The right time is a myth. Start now. Start messy. Start scared. Just start. Number 5, I ignored my body for decades. I was not reckless. I was just busy. Too busy to sleep properly. Too busy to eat well consistently. Too busy to slow down and pay attention to what my body was trying to tell me. I treated my body like a car I never serviced, but expected to keep running forever. In my 40s, I started having headaches, persistent ones. I told myself it was stress. In my 50s, my joints started aching. I told myself it was age. In my 60s, I was tired in a way that sleep did not fix. I told myself that was just how life was. What I did not understand then, and what I understand completely now, is that your body is always talking to you. Always. Every ache, every disrupted night of sleep, every moment of exhaustion that does not make sense, it is a message, and when you ignore the messages long enough, the body stops whispering and starts shouting. I ended up in the hospital at 68 with a health crisis that the doctors told me was years in the making. Years. My body had been sending up flares, and I had been too proud, too stubborn, too busy to pay attention. Here is what I want you to hear. You have one body. One. There is no backup. There is no trade-in. The body you are living in right now is the only one you will ever get, and every single choice you make either invests in it or withdraws from it. Sleep is not laziness. Rest is not weakness. Saying no to things so you can take care of yourself is not selfish. It is survival. Treat your body like it is the most valuable thing you own, because it is. Everything else, the house, the car, the career, all of it requires a functioning body to enjoy. Without your health, nothing else matters. I learned that the hard way. You do not have to. Number 6 is the one that makes me the saddest. I spent most of my life not saying the things that needed to be said. I did not tell my father that I loved him enough. I thought he knew. I thought there was time. He died before I ever said it the way I should have. just sat across the table from him at Sunday dinner for years and never once looked him in the eye and said, "Daddy, I am proud to be your daughter. Thank you for everything you gave me." Never said it. And now I would give anything to have one more Sunday dinner and 5 minutes to say what I should have said all along. I did not tell my husband when I was hurting. I kept the peace instead of keeping the truth. And what happens when you keep swallowing your truth is that it does not disappear. It sits inside you and it changes, becomes resentment, becomes distance. Gerald and I loved each other, but there were years, real years, where we were strangers living in the same house because neither one of us knew how to say the hard things out loud. I did not tell people when they hurt me. I smiled and moved on and told myself it was fine, and then I carried it for years, for decades in some cases. Say the thing. Say it with kindness, say it with care, but say it. Tell the people you love that you love them. Tell them specifically, not just, "I love you," but "I love the way you laugh. I love that you always know what I need before I say it. I love who I am when I am with you." Be specific. Be brave. The people in your life need to hear it, and you need to say it. Because tomorrow is not guaranteed, and I cannot tell you how many people I have watched run out of tomorrows before they ran out of things left unsaid. And the last one, number 7, and I believe this one quietly destroys more lives than any of the others. I forgot to enjoy it. I was so busy surviving, so busy managing, so busy getting through each day so I could get to the next one that I forgot to actually be present for any of it. My children's childhoods went by, and I was there physically, but so much of the time I was somewhere else in my head, worried about money, worried about the future, worried about things that never even happened. My youngest took her first steps on a Tuesday afternoon in our kitchen. I remember thinking, I need to call the electric company. I was there, but I missed it. I have a photograph of a family vacation we took when my kids were small, all 5 of us at the beach. And in the photograph, everyone is laughing, and I'm looking off to the side at something I cannot even remember. Something that absolutely did not matter. But that moment mattered. That moment was one of those irreplaceable ones, and I was somewhere else. Life is not in the destination. It is not waiting for you at retirement. It is not hiding somewhere in the future when everything finally settles down. It is here. It is in the Tuesday afternoon in the kitchen. It is in the drive to school with your kid where nothing important is said, but everything important is felt. It is in the slow Sunday morning. It is in the ordinary moments that you will not realize were extraordinary until they are gone. I am 87 years old. The extraordinary moments of my life, when I look back at them honestly, most of them were ordinary ones I almost missed. Be here. Be present. Put the phone down. Look at the people in front of you. Feel where you are, not where you are going, not where you have been, where you are, right now, this moment. This is your life. This is it. 7 things. 7 things I would go back and do differently if I could. Choose better people. Work to live, not live to work. Stop performing for an audience that is not even watching. Start before you are ready. Take care of the only body you will ever have. Say what needs to be said, and for heaven's sake, be present for your own life. I cannot go back. My back is too old and my knees are too tired, and time does not work that way anyway. But you can go forward differently. You have that. You still have that. Do not waste it on the wrong things. Do not wake up at 87 with a list still in your purse. Life is short. Even when it is long, it is short. I know that now in my bones. Use it well.